Welcome in the third section of our course. In this section, we'll be doing transformation of messages. In this section, we'll be creating Flow.Processor API, and we'll leverage that for the skeleton of transformation. Next, we'll be using Submission Publisher for proxying event to another publisher in the chain. So if you remember, the Submission Publisher was able to do both things. It was able to subscribe to the specific publisher and then send that event further into the chain. So we'll be using it for proxying that event to another publisher. Then in the third video, we'll be plugging the transform processor for transformation logic. And finally, we'll do a testing of stock transformation logic. And this is the first video in which we'll be leveraging the Flow.Processor API for the skeleton of transformation. So we'll be creating stock transform processor, we will be adding logic for stock transformation, and we'll be leveraging Flow.Processor interface in our code. So let's go to the code. So here is our stock transform processor. It is of the specific R generic type. R states the return type. So stock transform processor is fairly generic. It will be able to get stock data and return any type that we specify. We are extending Submission Publisher, and Submission Publisher will publish events that are of the specific R type. So that return type that will be returned from the transformation will be used as the input type to the publisher. But also we need to implement Flow.Processor, and Flow.Processor needs to take two types of arguments. First argument is an argument that is an input data type of our flow, and this example it will be stock data, and then return data type, and this will be a generic data type that will be used in our transformation logic. If we will not implement the processor, then we will not get the unsubscribe, onNext, onError, and onComplete. So this is not a good situation, so we need to have those methods. Our stock transform processor is taking the function that will be able to transform from stock data to the return type, and we are assigning it to the function. On the unsubscribe method, we are getting the subscription and we are requesting the first specific item. Then there is very important thing in onNext. In onNext, when new stock data item is arriving, we are applying that specific item to our function. As you remember, our function return time is of a type R, so return of this expression will be equal to R. But then we have a submit method. So submit method is from the submission publisher. If we will not extend submission publisher, we will not get a submit method. Submit is important because it allows us to take the result of this transformation and send that result to the further subscription in the chain. So let's get back to extend our submission publisher and see the submit method. So submit method is just basically publishing new item. So when you remember that we used submission publisher in the previous chapter, in the test for example, we get a submit method on the publisher. So here we are leveraging that inside of our processor. So return here. Once we process the specific item, we are requesting yet another item. onError is very simple, we are just printing stack trace, but onComplete is also a bit different. So when our transform processor get the onComplete from the first chain, so first chain will be a submission publisher that is publishing, then second element in the chain will be our processor, that's a transformation, and finally we will get the subscriber. So when we get the onComplete here, we need to close our subscribers, and we are calling the close method from submission publisher. So it will invoke onComplete on every subscriber. So this is important. So basically it signals our subscribers that this specific subscription is completed. So it should stop processing it.